Hi there and welcome to this video. Today we're at a place called Worlow. It's one of the suburbs of Sheffield, and the plan is to walk up the Limb Valley all the way up to Ringinglow and Wildcamp tonight at another little secret location I have high on the hills above Ringinglow, looking over the city of Sheffield. We're gonna follow the Limb Valley all the way up. It's about 2 miles walk, but it's a lovely walk through a steep wooded valley. Now, the original plan for this video was to look at my newly purchased items of summer wild camping gear. I've been planning to lighten my load and buy a load of new gear. Well, it's not easy, is it? So after weeks of looking at reviews, looking at YouTube videos, reading about gear, getting opinions, I had a bit of a rethink. I then looked at the gear I'd already got and I thought, but there's nothing wrong with quite a few of these items. Why replace it? Am I just replacing it to save a few grams or something like that? So we will look at some of my older items of gear, which I will be retaining. There's nothing wrong with them. They're pretty lightweight. They might be 10 years old, but they do the job wonderfully. So we'll look at some of my older items of gear. Now, I have purchased some new items of gear and we will look at those. Some bits did need replacing and I have got some new gear which is a lot lighter. But the main thing I wanted to look at was my tent. Now, my summer camping tent is a it's a Terra Nova Laser Competition 1. I've had it about 4 years. It's got some pluses and some negatives, and there were quite a few little things that niggled me and I didn't like about it. To the point I thought I'll replace it. And my plan was to replace it for a Hilleberg Enan. Lovely tent that, but expensive, 750 quid I believe. So I thought, yeah, go on. Might be the last tent I buy when you get to my age, you know, long-term investment. And then when I started looking, I couldn't find one. I wanted one in green, and this was about 6 weeks ago, and I couldn't find one. Nobody got one in stock. So I got me Terra Nova set up in the garden, had another look at it, and I thought, I know, I can do some modifications to this and basically get rid of the bits that niggle me and get the tent to just how I want it, really. So that is what I've done. I've modified the tent in several ways, and now to me it's just perfect. I haven't actually used it in its modified state, so we'll see how I go on with it. But yeah, so we are basically going to look at gear, but it's old gear, bit of new, and modified gear. Now, the weather. I've put this hat on to protect my head from the sun. I might not be needing it. Anyway, we'll get on the way up Limb Valley. So follow me up here. the top of Limb Valley now. It was a nice walk up, and the sun did occasionally come out. So we're gonna head through a bit of woodland behind me now, further up the Limb Brook, and to collect some water about a quarter of a mile further up, and then from there it's just a little bit of road walking, and then we'll head out across the Moorland to go and find the campsite. So I'll see you up at the brook. Just stopped here to collect some water. We're a little bit further up the Limb Brook. It has got that distinctive brown look you find in this area. Anyway, little story. I called by here about just over a week ago. I just wanted to recce the stream, make sure it was flowing okay, and just about to park my car, glanced out my window, and who did I see down at the Norfolk Arms pub, walking back down from a Wildcamp? Paul Messner. Can you believe it? I've seen all his videos, I'm sure I've looked at them all. Our paths have never crossed, although we camp in the same areas. And I was so taken back when I saw him, Paul Messner, in the flesh for real. So we stopped, shook hands, had a chat, and it was really great, yeah. Now Paul did take a fantastic photograph of the both of us stood outside the Norfolk Arms pub. If you look on Paul's YouTube channel and look at his community post, I didn't know what a community post was. It took me a while to find it. But yeah, look on Paul's community post and there's a great photograph of me and Paul. If it was at 8 o'clock in the morning, if it had been a bit later, we could have gone in and shared a couple of pints together. Another time. And this is where we're camping tonight. You'll probably recognise the rowan tree behind me from a previous camp. I've dropped my hat off, I don't think I need that, and my water, I'm fed up of carrying that, so I've dumped that up there as well. But before we unpack any more gear, I thought I'd just tell you a bit about my rucksack. This is an item of gear I've decided not to change. The rucksack I've got is a Golight Jam. Now I bought this probably about 8 to 10 years ago. I think it was probably first on the market prior to 2010. But it was probably the forerunner of a lot of today's modern lightweight rucksacks. It actually only weighs 840 grams. So that compares well with a modern rucksack. It's made of reinforced dyneema, so it's strong and lightweight. It's got a nice hip belt pockets, really comfy shoulder straps, so I couldn't think of a reason to change it. You're probably slightly limited, probably carry 10 kilos, something like that. It's not that comfortable for carrying heavy loads. But this replaced my Caramore Jaguar 65, which probably weighed about 4 pounds in old money. probably a couple of kilos, something like that. So yeah, it was a lightweight option, and today I'm quite happy with it. Now I know some people look at weights and that governs what they carry. I think it's comfort and weight for me. But just to give you an idea, let's go back before, let's imagine this is before YouTube and we just went out camping to camp, no other reason. So I've got all my summer kit in here and I weighed it before I came out. So that's just my basic camping gear, nothing else that I need to bring, and it weighed 6.5 kilos. So that to me is a reasonable weight, easy to carry, and I'm happy carrying that all day. But it doesn't stop there, because I like to cook, and food, that's an important part of any camp. I've got to put my food on top. So for this camp it was about 1.5 kilos. If we were going a lot further walking, I might take dehydrated food, so there's only about 500 grams. But today for this camp I've got 1.5 kilos of food, so that's put me up to 8 kilograms now. So it's going up. And then because I like to share my videos on YouTube, I need a bit of modern technology, cameras, audio equipment, tripod, and there's another 1.5 kilos of gear there. So we're at 9.5, and I'm sure I could easily find 500 grams from somewhere. If I took this coat off and strapped it to my rucksack, then I've got 10 kilos on me back. And yeah, that isn't so lightweight. But I do enjoy sharing them on YouTube, and I like to cook, so I accept I carry that weight. But like I say, if it was just solely lightweight camping, I've just got 6.5 kilos on my back. So what shall we do now? I think going to camp behind me underneath the rowan tree. So I'm going to get my tent set up, and I'll tell you a bit about that. I've done quite a few modifications to the tent, so I'll talk you through all those. So I'll see you when I've got the tent set up. Like I say, this is my Terra Nova Laser Competition one. I bought it about 4 or 5 years ago for summer camping. It has been going for about 20 years, so it was a well proven design. I like this tent. It's got a lot of plus points, but it did have some negatives. The plus points were it's lightweight, it's less than 1,000 grams. It's got a small footprint, so you can put it in little locations like this. It's actually got a big porch. The porch is as big as my Illyberg Sulu. So yeah, it had a lot of plus points, but the negatives, right, number one negative, it had a stupid rain shield over the top because they hadn't seam sealed the main seam, and I couldn't stand it. So I've taken it off and I have seam sealed all this main seam outside and inside the tent, and then I put a hose pipe on it for half an hour and no water came in. It don't get hopefully an awful lot of rain in summer, but if we do, we'll see how it goes. But I have really well seam sealed it. I know the cover gives stability because you can guy it, so I have put some little loops on here, and I could always put 2 simple guy ropes on. Probably not right, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that was my main niggle, so hopefully I've got rid of that. While I'm here, oops, the other niggle was this silly door. It's got a little loop to fasten it, but it hangs down. So I haven't cured this. What I've done, I've fastened it back there in the daytime, different at night, and I put 2 close pegs on. It's not ideal. I have seen people using those little magnetic catchers. I put 2 of those on, left it in the garden on a windy day, and within 10 minutes they'd blown off. But probably get a stronger magnet, who knows. My closed pegs work, but there must be a better way. But that was the other thing I didn't like it, and hopefully I've cured that. I'm going to move the camera and we'll zoom in on the guying arrangements now. Now, the other thing I didn't like about it was that the outer, the inner and the footprint all had elastic loops on, and each one was independently fastened to a tent peg. So you might get it. I basically found out I was having to peg the footprint out, peg the tent on top, and then reach under to find the inner loops and hang them over the tent pegs. And I found it really awkward. My Hilleberg Solo goes up in one go, so I've basically converted it to that. So what I did, I removed the webbing loop completely, unpicked the stitching, took them all off. I then put a new webbing loop on and put 2 plastic D brackets, what do you call them? And then to the D's I've put an elastic loop there, goes to the peg. So that's it, the tent pegged out. And then the inner and the footprint are independently fastened by these little plastic clips here, so that they can easily be removed. So you could take the footprint off, you can take the inner out. But if I leave it like that, it basically, you put in probably about 6 pegs and the tent goes up. It seems such a lot easier than faffing about, reaching underneath in the wet grass to try and find the loop of the inner or the footprint to hook over that peg. So I'm hoping that it's made it a lot easier. So I hope it's clear. Obviously you've got to be proficient at stitching and that. You can actually make a mess of things if your stitching isn't up to, your sewing isn't up to much. But while we're talking about sewing, I'll take you inside the tent now and show you a few modifications I've done there. Inside the tent now. Now something this tent and a lot of other tents was lacking was no storage pockets. So got my sewing machine out and decided to have a go at putting some in. First thing was to source the material. And I basically bought an old inner tent. I forgot what type of tent it was. It was, I think, £12 on eBay. And I got a whole inner tent. And it gave me the material I needed. So I set about putting in these 2 pockets. Right, it wasn't easy. It's like sewing gossamer thin material. And you can go wrong. If you got... You can see through the material, and you could quite easily sew several layers of tent together. And if you did unpick it, I reckon you'd tear the tent. So if you do go down this line, be very careful. But sewing can be very satisfying and very useful to any wild camper, as you can see here. It can be quite enjoyable. So I would recommend anybody. You can get an old Singer sewing machine. They literally give them away, and just have a go. Even if you only make a few stuff sacks, it's satisfying and really, really enjoyable. So I got those pockets in, and they're good for lighters, glasses, headlamp, tablets, all sorts. Very useful. Why they don't put them in tents, I don't know. They must weigh a few grams. And while I got it all set up, I I put a little plastic bracket up at the top to hang a light. Then I got carried away and I was putting loops in all over the place. But yeah, certainly made a few simple improvements just by doing a little bit of sewing. So having got rid of all those niggly little bits I didn't like about this tent, I'm looking forward to using this for all my summer camping this year. It's lightweight, plenty of room, it's just what I want. I think it would have been easier doing all this lot in the garden, but anyway, we've only one more thing to look at. So the other sort of major item of kit that I've replaced is my sleeping bag. I had a very old down sleeping bag for summer camping, but I think it weighed about 1,300 grams and was like this. It could have been 15 years old. So I think it was last year I was looking to replace it and it was too difficult. So I put it to one side, started again this year, and I thought, yeah, gotta move with the times, let's try a quilt. They such a weight saving and compact size. So I went for a, hang on, can't remember what it is. It's an Enlightened Eqipment Revelation Quilt, and this is it here. It's rated down to 0 degrees C or 30F. I can't see me using it in temperatures like that. I'll go down to about 5 and that's about it for me for a quilt. But I'm hoping to use this throughout the summer months up to probably about September, October, and then I'll go back to a sleeping bag. But I have used it and I'm very pleased with it. It's so light, 560 grams. So I've saved about 800 grams there. It's got like a zip on the bottom, so you can have it as an open quilt or make a foot box on it. I can actually clip it to my mat to get rid of any drafts, and it packs down so small. It's pluses all the way. I should have changed years ago, but you know, you can't do everything at once. And I like the freedom of movement. Yeah. We all know sleeping bags that restrict your movement. This, you can stick your legs out. There just seems to be such a lot of room in it in a way. So I'll just see how I go on with it. But that's it, yeah. Enlightened Eqipment Revelation Quilt. So that basically covers the main bits of gear that I've bought, altered, or I'm keeping. I have some other items, cooking equipment, stuff like that, but we'll look at those another day. I've sort of had enough going through new gear. So I think I'll have another drink, another cup of coffee, and then we'll look towards cooking tonight's meal. I am getting a bit peckish, but it's only about 5 o'clock and we've got probably 4 hours daylight ahead of us, so there is no rush. I can chill out, another drink, and I'll come back to you in a little bit when we make a start with tea. Just preparing my evening meal. Steak, chips, asparagus and a pepper sauce. Sounds lovely. So in the pan there, trying to boil its head off. About a pound of potatoes cut into chip-sized pieces. Once they've part boiled and softened, I'm going to deep fry them, or shallow fry in the frying pan. That's my chips. They can go on that plate and hopefully they'll stay warm. Then it's the steak and asparagus tips, and hopefully at the same time make the pepper sauce. I am looking forward to this. Yep, they're looking very nice. They're going to be my chips. And they're going to keep very warm, I would think. So that's the steak and the asparagus in now. And on goes the pepper sauce. And that's what you call a proper meal. Steak, chips, asparagus and a pepper sauce. Just lovely. You can't go wrong with a bit of steak. And even these chips have worked out well. On the whole, a lovely meal. So nothing too fancy to finish with, just a panna cotta. Just about right. I can see swarms of midges gathering, so I shall be retreating into the tent soon. Nice to be able to sit outside the tent for a change. It's getting lighter at night and still not warmed up a lot. I would imagine another hour when it goes dark might be quite cool out here. But it is nice to be outside and that. But May, very busy month in May. It's my birthday of all things, another one. We went to Barrow Hill Beer Festival. That was a great day out. Met many other YouTubers or viewers. There were some great people to talk to, very interesting. I always meet a lot of people at beer festivals, but it was great to talk to all the people that came and spoke. And after that I went to Spain for a week, which was nice to have blue skies in the morning, 22, 24 degrees, and you knew it was going to be a nice day and nice and sunny. Around Malaga, Granada, Ronda, went on the trains, and yeah, it was very nice. Very barren though. When you're out on the trains, look at the countryside. Basically olive groves and wheat fields, not much else, and it just looked very barren. You came back to the UK and it is so green. Everything is green and so lush, and all our fields full of green crops. Everything, I suppose, with all the rain, is doing very well. But it's nice there, but I wouldn't want to live there. It's nice to go for a week and then you return to our green and pleasant land, and I won't be able to cope with the hot temperatures neither. But I'm thinking ahead now. Got a few little trips, places we're going, and then I think most of July, August pretty free, so I should get out and get a few wild camps done then. I'm wanting to head up the Derwent Valley. I've wrecked a few places up there, and wow, that is remote, complete isolation up there, and that is where I'm heading. Now that I've got my gear sorted out and it's reasonable weight, I'm going to head up there, try a few camps up there, I would think. It's nice to have a bit of new gear, something to talk about, and it just keeps your interest going if you've got something new. That quilt, I'm looking forward to trying that again. Feels so comfortable because you aren't restricted. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going to sleep and trying it out again. I sort of come up this way because it's pretty easy to get to, and have various little campsites around here. This one, nobody would know you were there. There's probably paths only 100 metres away. Nobody would know I'm here. But if it's a bit busy and I ain't got time, I tend to come up here. When there's a bit more time, I'll head further afield, like I say, Kinder Scout, Bleaklow, those places. Anyway, nice to chat to you. Finish me cocoa off, and I'll see you in the morning. Night then. Morning there. First cup of coffee tastes so good. I thought I'd have a little lie in. I'm well hidden away here, and the sun's sort of come up. Hopefully that'll dry any dew that was on my tent, make it easier when I get home for packing away. But as you can see, well concealed down here underneath the rowan tree, and I am pleased to say no witches last night. No footsteps round the tent and no witches. So rowan tree looking after me again. Gonna enjoy this coffee in the morning sunshine, and then I've got some porridge to make then. See you in a little bit. Nice to sit and relax for a while. If I was at home now, I would be dashing around doing one job then another job. When I'm out on these camps, I do relax a lot more. Just got my porridge on the go down there. Should be done in a few minutes. But yeah, reasonable night. I won't say I slept fantastically. I went to sleep, then woke up, and I seemed to be awake for ages, but I suppose there's a lot going on, different environment. But the quilt was very comfortable, a lot of freedom. One bit I didn't like, my bare legs on the mattress. We used to like a fabric and it's not. So I'll think of some way of probably pair of thermal bottoms or something like that. It just didn't feel comfortable with my legs on like what must be like a plasticky type coating and that. But we live and learn. I'll try some like thermal bottoms next time. Might be a bit more comfortable. End of a camp like this, I always look at what I didn't need, what I shouldn't have brought. And I couldn't really find everything. Everything I brought, I used. The only thing I can think of is a bowl. And I'm going to eat that porridge out the pan. So I don't need the bowl. But everything else, every item I use. So how you're supposed to reduce your weight anymore, I don't know. Like I say, I want the comfort as well. So I reckon my porridge is done. I'm going to enjoy that and then drop the tent, get everything packed up, ready for the off. I'll see you when we're all packed up. It's a lot easier now. I can push the outer, the inner and the footprint. They're all together. I can push them all into a stuff sack. No problem at all. Got my glasses on, just checking. That's everything packed up. Just a last check of the site, and then we'll be on our way. Well, apart from flattened grass, no trace at all. I think we can say the weather has been kind to us. It stayed dry and there's been just a little breeze, just enough to keep the midges off. I've got about an hour and a half walk back down Limb Valley to where I left my car at Worlow. Should be a pleasant walk, and it is all downhill. I think next camp, like I said, will be up the Derwent Valley. So it's going to make me take minimum kit really. Not that I can take much more than I've got here, but if I can trim it down any more, I will. And take some dehydrated food. I fancy some dehydrated chili. It's one I've never done before, so I think I'll try that. So I've enjoyed this camp, and that steak and chips was lovely. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in July up the Derwent Valley. Bye then.